Namaste, Witchlings. Welcome to Bitchin Witch. This is the podcast where I climb up on my soapbox, swear like the sailor I once was, and rant about whatever has me fired up this week. Hey all, I am Di, better known as Di the Yoga Witch. I am an ordained minister, a yoga teacher, practicing witch of over 30 years, a Navy veteran, and your resident loudmouth when something in the world needs saying. Now, this podcast isn't about telling you what to think. It's about encouraging you to think. Some weeks we're going to laugh, some weeks we're going to cry, and there will be times when I will probably swear more than I thought I was going to, and, well, today is one of them days. So, go grab your coffee, your tea, whatever brew fills your mug. I'm drinking Dr. Pepper cream soda today. Pull up whatever kind of chair you've got up here by the fire in the cauldron, and let's have a nice little conversation, because Veteran Di has entered the chat. I have been sitting on this particular episode for a couple of years now. Not because I didn't know what I wanted to say, but because, well, I wanted to make damn sure I said it right. Because this isn't going to be one of those episodes where I'm going to point at people and call them stupid. Because honestly, I don't think they're stupid. I think they're scared. Think they're hurting. I think they are genuinely trying desperately to do what they think is best for themselves, their families, and their communities. And, well, somebody recognized that and decided to profit from it. That is what has me pissed off right now, not the people. I'm furious at the manipulation. Because, well, honestly, if you think you're too smart to be manipulated, congratulations. You've just become even easier to manipulate. Every single one of us. We've all got our blind spots. Every one of us has our fears. Every single one of us wants certainty when life becomes uncertain. Honestly, that is all part of being human. So today is not about mocking people. No. Not even particularly about politics. It isn't even really... It really isn't even entirely about MAHA itself. MAHA is just the latest expression of something I have been watching develop for decades. Today, I want to talk about the trap. Because if we can understand the trap, maybe, just maybe, we can avoid falling into it ourselves, and then maybe even help someone else find their way back out. So, let's go ahead and start with something that just might surprise you. I agree with a lot of what the wellness movement says. Movement matters. Nutrition matters. Sleep matters. Stress affects our health. Community definitely matters, as does being outside. The healthcare system definitely has its problems. Pharmaceutical companies are corporations. They are not charities. And they absolutely deserve some scrutiny here. We should be asking questions. We should be advocating for ourselves, and we should seek second opinions. None of that is controversial. In fact, those are all really good instincts. So, where do we part ways with the wellness industry? For me, it's about when wellness stops being about health and starts becoming morality. Because suddenly we're not talking choices anymore. Now we're talking about virtue. Clean food versus dirty food. Good food versus bad food. Pure, toxic. Those aren't scientific terms. Those, my darling friends, are moral judgments. And once you convinced someone that what they eat determines whether they're a good person or a bad person. You stopped talking nutrition and you started talking about worthiness. And that's where the trap begins. So, how does it begin? How do otherwise intelligent people who genuinely care about their health and the health of the people they love, how do otherwise intelligent people end up believing things that from the outside seem completely unbelievable? Well, it doesn't happen overnight. Nobody wakes up one morning believing the wildest thing they've ever believed. That ain't how manipulation works. This here, we're talking a long con. And good con artists understand something. You don't start with the lie. You start with the truth. Think about every single movie you've ever seen about a con artist. They don't walk up to somebody on day one and ask for $1 million. They earn trust. They become your friend. They tell you things that are true. Then they tell you things that are mostly true. Then they sprinkle in a little speculation, then a little certainty. And by the time they finally tell you the really outrageous thing, you trust them more than you trust your own instincts. That's the con. Now, think about wellness. Maybe you started following somebody because they post healthy recipes. Cool. I got no problem with that. Then they start talking about getting enough sleep. Abso-fantabulously, right? Absolutely. Then they start talking about reducing stress. Hi, I'm a yoga instructor. I am literally making a career out of helping people reduce their stress. Then they talk about how our healthcare system has problems. Yep, it does. And then they talk about pharmaceutical companies putting profits ahead of people. Again, they're corporations. Questioning corporations isn't exactly a revolutionary position. Everything still sounds reasonable. Because it is. But then the shift happens. Now, every illness has one cause. Every problem has one solution, and every expert who disagrees is corrupt, and every piece of evidence that challenges the narrative is now part of the conspiracy. That's the moment the trap closes, because now it isn't about wellness anymore. It's about identity. You're no longer someone who exercises. You're a wellness person, TM. You're no longer someone who likes natural foods. You're one of the people who know the truth. And once your identity gets wrapped up in an idea, changing your mind becomes incredibly difficult. Because now you're not just questioning information. Now you're questioning yourself, your community, your friendships, your entire world view. That's why smart people stay. Not because they're stupid. No, far from it. They stay because they're human. And because walking away from a belief system often means walking away from an entire community, and that is terrifying. It's one of the reasons cults are so effective. It's one of the reasons abusive relationships are so damn hard to leave. And it's one of the big reasons why these pipelines keep growing. Human beings would rather belong than be right. And that's not a character flaw. It's how we're wired. Which is why we have to be so careful about who we give our trust to. We're going to shift gears for a second, because there's another piece of this puzzle that absolutely breaks my heart. And unfortunately, it doesn't just happen in the wellness community. It happens in religion, in coaching, in spirituality. Hell, it even happens in yoga. Different communities, different language, same damn promise, though. You know the sentence. If you just prayed harder, if you just had enough faith, if you just manifested correctly, if you just raised your vibration, if you just detoxed, if you just ate clean, well, if you just bought my supplements, if you just followed my protocol, if you just. Notice anything? Every one of those sentences places the responsibility for healing squarely on the shoulders of the person who's already suffering. And friends, darlings, witchlings, that is cruel. So there's someone I love very, very deeply, very, very much, who was once told that if they simply prayed hard enough, if they just had enough faith, God would heal their disabilities. Can you imagine carrying that? Not just once, over and over and over again. So what happens when you get down on your knees every night and you pray and you pray and you pray and you have faith and you do everything you think right? What happens when the healing doesn't come? Who gets blamed for that? Not the theology, not the person who made that promise. The disabled person gets blamed. Well, you didn't believe enough, or you must have sin in your life. You didn't have enough faith. Can I be honest for just a second? Y'all know I'm gonna be. That pisses me right the fuck off. Not because it's bad theology, but because it's fucking abusive. You are taking someone who is already hurting and you are convincing them that their pain is somehow a personal failure. Y'all, that ain't hope. That's shame wearing a halo. Now, we're going to change the vocabulary just a little bit. If you just detox. Well, if you just stopped eating processed foods, if you just eliminated seed oils, if you just bought these supplements, if you just followed this protocol, if you just used this essential oil, if you just, sound familiar? Different words, same structure. And when healing doesn't happen, once again, who gets blamed? It's not the influencer, it's not the protocol, not the products, not the ideology, the sick person. They hear, you must not have done it right. Oh, you must have cheated. Oh, you weren't disciplined enough. You didn't trust the process. Friends, y'all, that is the prosperity gospel wearing yoga pants. Same fucking structure, different branding. Now, before somebody goes and clips that sentence out of context and gets me pissed the fuck off, no. I'm not saying eating healthier isn't a good thing. I'm not saying movement doesn't matter. I'm not saying sleep doesn't matter. Hell, I'm a fucking yoga instructor. Of course, I think those things matter. What I'm saying is that they are influences. They are not guarantees. And anybody selling you guarantees is selling you something other than reality. I have been practicing yoga for around about 20 years now. It has changed my life. It's made me stronger, more resilient, more aware. It helps me manage stress. It's helped me regulate my nervous system. It has definitely given me community and it has given me purpose. But it has never, not once, not ever promised me perfect health. Yoga has never promised that my fibro would disappear, that my arthritis is going to go away. It has never promised that my fucking POTS would magically resolve itself. That would be nice. It has never promised that trauma could simply be stretched out of my body. And it has never, ever promised that if I just practiced enough, I would be pain-free. What it has done instead, it has given me something much more valuable. It taught me to stop treating my body like an enemy. It taught me to work with my body instead of constantly demanding that it become someone else's. I have learned compassion, Patience, which if you know me is shocking. Patience is not a virtue I have. It has taught me acceptance, and it has definitely taught me more resilience. And maybe the most important lesson my yoga has ever taught me is this: healing and curing are not the same thing. I want to say that one again because I think it's worth repeating. Healing and curing are not the same thing. Healing is about your relationship with yourself. Healing is about learning to live in your body with compassion instead of punishment. Healing is about tending to your wounds. Curing is eliminating disease. Sometimes we get both. Yay! Sometimes we don't. Okay. But if we only value cured people, what the fuck are we saying about everybody else? What are we saying about disabled people, chronically ill people, aging, grief, trauma, things that don't magically cure itself? Life is so much more complicated than that. Bodies are more complicated than that, and people sure as the hell are more complicated than that. And I think we all deserve philosophies that are big enough to hold that complexity instead of pretending it doesn't exist. Hey Witchlings, let's take a break real quick and step into dietheyogawitch.shop, where magic meets movement and your growth is supported on and off the mat. This is a space for transformation where yoga and life coaching come together to help you move forward with clarity, confidence, and purpose at a pace your nervous system can actually sustain. Alongside your practice, you will find some handmade intention-infused jewelry, some Dye the Yoga Witch merch like coffee mugs, t-shirts, hoodies, and so much more. Yes, we included some goodies for our furry familiars, and Witchy Mama can't leave them out, so we can all carry just a little bit of magic with us each and every day. Tarot and oracle readings are available when you're seeking insight, and there are a limited number of local services offered for those in the Puget Sound region. But the heart of this space is supporting your daily practice, your growth, and your connection to yourself. Now, if something in your life is shifting, growing, or asking for deeper intention, please, this is your sign. Come explore what we can create together at dietheyogawitch.shop. If you are enjoying this podcast and feel called to become part of our coven here, please tap the join button and become a channel member. There are some amazing perks waiting for all of my witchlings. Membership levels start at just $1 a month. How affordable is that? But if membership is not in the cards for you right now, we understand that, and there's a reminder that you can also support the channel for free simply by subscribing and sharing this video with a friend. You can find all of the other ways to support me here at my link tree, linked here up above and in the description box down below. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all of your support. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Let's get back to the show. All right. Excuse me. We're going to get personal here for a second. After I take a sip. Okay, let's get personal for a second. I want to tell you guys about my grandfather. He was my person. He was an Episcopal priest my entire life. But before that, he was also a scientist, research chemist. And for years, whenever somebody tried to convince me that faith and science were enemies, I had one very simple response. God created the amoeba. That was my philosophy. Because if God created everything, well, then God created the amoeba. God created DNA, He created gravity and physics and evolution. Learning more about creation never threatened my faith. If anything, it actually deepened it. The more I learned about this amazing universe we live in, the more awe I felt, the more questions I asked, and the more I wanted to understand. Because in my family, curiosity has never been the enemy of spirituality, and it's been one of my greatest companions. I don't think grandfather ever sat me down and intentionally taught me that lesson, but he lived it. He showed me day in, day out that faith and curiosity could sit at the same table, and that asking questions about it wasn't disrespectful. It was an act of reverence, because if this universe is worthy of wonder, shouldn't we wonder about it? Shouldn't we ask questions and seek understanding? That is something I have carried with me my entire life as a witch, a yoga teacher, a veteran, a human being. And it's also one of the reasons I love both yoga and witchcraft. Neither one has ever asked me to stop learning. Yoga literally calls it a practice, not a performance or a destination. It is a practice, something you return to and you deepen, and that grows as you grow. And my witchcraft has always been the same way. Observe, experiment, pay attention and take notes, learn from your mistakes, try it all over again. Does this sound familiar? Because it should. It's a scientific method with candles. And yes, I will admit I did laugh when I realized that's basically how I have practiced my witchcraft for 30 years. Try something, observe the reaction or observe what happens, reflect on that, adjust when I need to, repeat. It's not blind faith. It's curiosity. And I need to say something that I really think gets lost in conversations like this. Questioning. Questioning is not the same thing as rejecting, denying, or distrusting everything. Questioning simply means, I'd like to understand this a little better. There's a huge difference. There's a massive difference there. Because somewhere along the way, we have convinced ourselves that we have to choose between blindly trusting into institutions or blindly distrusting them. Those aren't the only options. Institutions are made of people. People make mistakes. Governments make mistakes. Corporations lie. Religious leaders have been known to abuse their authority. Scientists do not all agree on everything. Doctors tend to disagree on things. Yoga teachers disagree on things. Witches disagree regularly. And I'm sure as hell not right 100% of the time. None of us are. Which means every single one of us should remain open to learning something new. One of the reasons I think yoga has been so healing for me, though, is because it taught me to become very comfortable saying 3 words. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know why one person heals and another one doesn't. I don't know why 2 people with the exact same diagnosis can have completely different experiences, other than most things are a spectrum. I don't know why some treatments work beautifully for one person and not at all for someone else. I don't know. And you know what? That's okay. Because I don't know isn't the end of the conversation. It's the beginning of curiosity. It's an invitation to keep learning and listening and to keep paying attention. And I would rather live with honest uncertainty than comforting certainty built on a lie. Every damn time. I don't want to live built with something built on a lie. All right. There is a phrase that has been floating around the internet for a while. I've seen it on TV a few times. Who hurt you? It comes out, somebody says something absolutely wild, and somebody will respond with, who hurt you? Usually they're saying it as a joke, and it's frequently dripping in sarcasm. I personally, though, I don't say it that way. I don't ask who hurt you, trying to score points, you know? I am genuinely asking. When someone says something so ridiculous that would be the response, who hurt you? I am genuinely going, why are you like this? Who in your past traumatized you so that you are doing this? Because pain changes people. Fear, trauma, grief, isolation, they all change people. Desperation changes people. When someone is carrying enough pain, they are quite often willing to grab onto anything that promises relief. And it's not because they're irrational. It's, again, because they're human. Think about the people who are most vulnerable to these Wellness-to-MAHA pipeline type things. They're oftentimes, like me, chronically ill, or they're caring for someone who is. They're exhausted. More often than not, they're frightened. They've potentially been dismissed by doctors for years and years, or even worse, they've been told it's all in your head. Maybe they've tried treatment after treatment after treatment after treatment and nothing has worked. Or they're watching someone they love suffer and they would do absolutely anything in the world to help them. Wouldn't you? I know I would. Hell, I have. So when somebody walks into that pain and says, I know exactly what's wrong, I know exactly how to fix it, and I have the answer everyone else is hiding from you, that certainty is incredibly seductive. Not because people are gullible, because certainty feels safer than uncertainty, especially when uncertainty hurts. One of the things I have learned through yoga, through witchcraft, and through my own trauma recovery is that people usually make the best decisions they can with the information, resources, and emotional capacity they have in that moment. And sometimes those decisions turn out to be wonderful. Others, they're disasters. Goddess knows I have made enough of those decisions. But I don't start by assuming people are malicious. I try to start by wondering what brought them to this moment. What happened? Who failed them? Who dismissed them? And for the love of all things holy, who convinced them that they had to carry this alone? Because if we don't understand the wound, we'll never understand why the bandage looked so appealing. Now, again, before somebody misunderstands me or misinterprets what I'm saying, compassion is not the same thing as permission. Understanding someone is not the same thing as agreeing with them. And it sure as fuck isn't the same thing as excusing them. People absolutely need to be held accountable for the damage they do. Ideas have consequences. Misinformation has consequences. Conspiracy theories have consequences. People get hurt. Sometimes they die. And that matters. Because, well, if all we ever do is call people idiots, we've just guaranteed they're never going to listen to us. There is not a single person who has ever changed their mind because somebody called them stupid? Nobody. People change because they feel safe enough to ask questions. They feel safe enough to be wrong and to admit, I don't think this makes sense anymore. And if we don't create spaces where that's possible, somebody else will. That's one of the reasons Heartfire matters so much to me. Not because I want everybody to agree with me. Honestly, no, please don't. That would get so boring so damn fast. I want a community where people can ask difficult questions, where they feel safe enough to ask and say, I don't understand, or I've changed my mind, or hey, I need some help sorting through this, without worrying that they're going to be mocked, shamed, or told they're stupid. Because here's what I believe with every fiber of my being. People who feel safe, supported, and informed, and who know they are loved, are much, much harder to manipulate. Fear is fertile ground for certainty. Community is very fertile ground for curiosity. And if I can help build a community that chooses curiosity over certainty, then I think we might actually be doing something worthwhile. So as we wrap this up, y'all, I want to leave you guys with something that's become one of my guiding philosophies. I know that I am incapable of making the right decision for everyone. Hell, some days I am barely capable of making the right decision for myself. So how arrogant would I have to be to believe that I have every answer for your life? I don't. I never will. And honestly, I don't want to. Because I don't want followers. Followers stop thinking and stop asking questions. Followers become dependent on somebody else to tell them what's true. And that has never been what I wanted to build. I want witchlings. I want people who are curious, who read broadly, ask the difficult questions, and who are willing to disagree respectfully. I want people who will challenge me when I get something wrong. Please fact check me in real time. Because let me tell you something. I am going to get shit wrong. I am. And it's not because I don't care. It's not because I'm lazy. It's because I'm human. And if somebody can show me better evidence or can show me where I am wrong, I hope I will always have the courage to change my mind. And that's not weakness. That's growth. And one of the things I love most about yoga is that it's called a practice. Again, not a performance, not a competition. It's not a destination. It is a practice. Something you return to over and over and over again. And it's something that changes because you change. Some days your balance is incredible. Some days you fall out of tree pose 6 times. But guess what? You're still practicing. Life works the same way. Some days, hey, we're right. Some days we realize we missed something important. How many times have I shut my phone in the refrigerator? Some days we discover that what we believed 10 years ago doesn't hold water anymore. Good. That means you're still growing. I would genuinely rather spend my life continuing to learn than spend it pretending I've already learned everything. And that's part of why I get really nervous around people who seem absolutely certain about everything. Be careful of anyone who offers certainty while the evidence is still evolving. Whether they're wearing a lab coat, standing behind the pulpit, running for office, selling supplements, wearing a crystal necklace, teaching a yoga class, hosting a podcast, or even sitting here in front of this microphone. I'm including me in that. Please don't believe something just because I said it. Look it up. Read. Ask questions. Challenge yourself. Challenge me. The truth doesn't become weaker because we examine it. If it's true, it's going to stand up to honest curiosity. And if it isn't, wouldn't you rather know? I think one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves is permission to say 3 simple words. I don't know. I don't know everything about medicine. I don't know everything about nutrition. Really don't know everything about politics. And I do not know everything about spirituality. I don't know everything about yoga. I'm still learning. And I certainly, sure as hell, do not know everything about being human. But I know enough to keep learning. And I really hope I never lose that. Because I would rather live with honest uncertainty than comforting certainty built on a lie. Every damn time. So, here's what I hope you guys take away from this conversation. Number 1, take care of your body. Move it in ways that feel good. Feed it as well as you're able. Rest when you need to. And then second, question the systems around you. Question corporations, governments, influencers. Question your own assumptions. But don't lose your humanity in the process. Remember that the person on the other side of that screen probably carrying a story you know nothing about. Remember, fear makes people vulnerable. Shame rarely changes minds. Remember that compassion and accountability can coexist. And remember this, curiosity isn't weakness. It's wisdom in motion. Right now, the world is loud. Everybody wants you to pick a side. Everybody wants to tell you they have the answer. Everybody wants certainty. I'm asking something different. Stay curious. Stay humble. Stay compassionate. Because if enough of us do that, I think we'll build something stronger than certainty ever could. We'll build trust. We'll build community. We will build a world where it's safe to ask questions again. And I think that's a world worth fighting for. Is there anything in chat worth checking in with? I see Joram and Mimi. Oh, Ryo was here. Yay. Ooh, Raya, he scrolled as I was reading it, but oh my God, Raya has a good one. Abuse suffered is the fault and sickness of the abuser and not on you. Amen. Oh yeah, we won't talk about. We will talk about Mother Teresa in a completely different podcast. Yep, they don't jump out till it's too late. Yup. It's so warm and cozy in here. Yup. All right. Yep. All right. Scroll. MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. It's a movement that RFK Jr. has started that is an add-on to Make America Great Again. I have opinions, and most of them boil down to it's not going to make America healthy again. Yep, on that note, my darling dear witchlings. All right. Okay. Boop, boop. All right. Thank you, witchlings, for joining me on another episode of Bitchin Witch. If this conversation challenged you, good. If it made you think, hell yeah, even better. Thank you. Now, before we go, quick little reminder that this space does exist solely because of the Witchling community. There are no corporate sponsors here, just shared magic, mutual care, and a whole lot of love. So do the like, share, and subscribe thing. Join our channel here if you have the financial means to do so, and help us grow our community by telling a friend about us. And now, my lovely witchlings, go out there and spread love, spread joy, and spread kindness, because there's already enough darkness and hate out there in the world. Let each of us choose to be steady lights of love and hope for those stumbling in the shadows. Make sure your loved ones in all their forms know exactly how you feel about them. 2 legs, 4 legs, wings, fur, scales, paws, or claws. Time is not a strict progression of cause to effect. It is far more of a big ball of wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff, and it passes faster than any of us want to acknowledge. That means those chances to say I love you one last time are not ever guaranteed. If you take one thing away from everything we do here, I really hope it's that you always remember this. You are loved, you are wanted, you are needed, and your purpose is